Hello, everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of MTG Study Hall Quarantine Edition. I am one of your hosts, Brett, and I am joined, as always, by JC, Lily, and Dave. We have a lot to talk about this week, which I say that every episode, so as always, I suppose we have a lot to talk about, a lot to cover. Before we do that, Tam's going to take care of some of the bookkeeping for us. Tam?
Absolutely. If you like the show, you can support us by going out to patreon.com/TCGUniversity. Sub out there at the $1 level. Catch the entire show live. Interact with us in the chat and do all that stuff. If you don't have any bucks to toss, that's totally chill. You can find us on other social medias like Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, all at TCG University. Support us out there on your podcast services, iTunes, SoundCloud, Spotify. And if we're not on a podcast service that you like to listen to, please let us know and we will certainly rectify that. Big shout out to all of our Patreon sponsors. The junior tiers are higher. We have Addie, Andrew Dang, Anthony Albino, Bryce Rathsack, Chris Miner, Clay Cardwell, Jay Rogers, Jarrett Hubbard, John Stone, Justin Farce, Kat Maria, Kevin Broberg, Lucinda Letica, Andrew, Paul Casagrande, Peyton Kiker, Samantha Stevens, the baddest bitch around, Sean O'Brien, Teodoro Ruiz, and Tyler Zampies. Thank you so much, so much for your support, helping us keep the lights on and such. And lastly, big shout out to our sponsors, Nuclear Inked Custom Tattoo and Skate Shop, Cards Custom Build, Inked Gaming, and Dex Protection, but we will tell you about those later.
All right, thank you so much, Tam. So before we launch into it, let's briefly talk about what we have been doing in Magic this past week. Dave, what have you been doing?
A little bit of just cat, playing the cat deck, companions.
Is that on stream?
I did one on stream. I've been doing some stuff kind of off on my actual account for a bit, because my sleep schedule is still completely fucked. So, yeah, my sleep schedule is fucked. I'm waking up at 8 o'clock in the morning, like no normal human being should.
Okay. Lily, what's been Magic happening this past week?
Oh gosh, just ruining people's days, playing Kinnan again and again and again on Brawl, even when I have no wins left for the day to conceivably get anything from, because it's so much damn fun.
Okay.
Also waiting on my friends to give me feedback on the set that I made.
Yes, that is on my list. JC, what have you been doing in Magic? Pivot.
I wrote an article for the Patreon covering the artists G-Host Lee and Plaguemare. So go check that out on the Patreon if you'd like to. I plan on contributing more because what I really like about Magic is the art of Magic, and that's one of the main reasons I play. So, I did that, and also I did oh shit, they did that about them banning Luris in Vintage. So I was like, shit, okay, yeah, they did that, and I guess I called that on the show. So yay!
All right,
a link to that art article will be in the description down below.
Yeah, I didn't know that was there, so I'm going to check that out as well. Briefly, what I've been doing is we did Brawling with Brett yesterday, as always on Wednesday. We're getting those viewer numbers real high now. We were in the double digits, and we had 10 briefly, which was awesome. So I love playing Brawling with Brett. We're having some great conversation in the chat. I do invite people to come check that out. We have a lot of fun, and I'm pretty sure you can check the videos out on the Twitch channel when we are not live. We said farewell to Winota yesterday, as she is now officially banned in Arena as of today, Thursday, the 21st. So we said goodbye to her, and the last game with her was absolutely awesome. It was a good farewell, and other than that, we are working on getting video chat Commander set up so we can play Commander via video chat, which is very
excited.
So we're going to work on making that happen, and if we can get it working consistently, there's apparently a nice free app that people can use, and if any of the viewers are interested in maybe playing with some of us, that is something we could potentially get going if there's any interest. So if you want to play some Commander with us, you can go ahead and let us know in the comments or anywhere on our social media, and we can absolutely make that happen. So let's get talking about what's been going on. So topic one, I think JC brought it up, and I think that's the thing we should cover first. We had some bans, and if there's bans, that means we need to talk about them. So, who wants to tell everybody what got banned and what that means? Lily, you're up. Tell us about the bans.
Good Lord. Okay, so I need to double check. There's a reason I didn't say anything.
Okay, then
no, it's fine. I've got the list pulled up right now.
Okay.
I can run through that right quick. So we've got bans in a few formats. First one for Brawl. Draneth Magistrate is banned, as well as Winota Joiner of Forces. In addition, we have Legacy. Luris of the Dream Den is banned, and so is Zedra the Dawnwaker. And oddly enough, and I think we were talking about this last week, as this is kind of an odd thing, there is a ban for a card that does not require manual dexterity, or reference ante, or
Scheherazade.
Or Scheherazade.
Yeah.
And so Luris is one of the few cards in Vintage now that is banned. I didn't think that they were going to do that, mainly because they just normally don't ban things, but what else are you going to do? And those are all of the changes that they made with this previous ban list.
So we had those changes, and that precipitated a couple other things. One, it's not a huge deal, but it is interesting. The Commander ban list is now decoupled from the Vintage ban list. The Commander ban list was using the Vintage ban list as a bit of a shortcut to get rid of the anti-cards, dexterity cards, Scheherazade. Because Luris is not a problem in Commander, they have decoupled that, and they just have their own ban list, which is fine. Not a huge deal. And it's honestly a little bit, I would say it's helpful for new players who maybe got into the game with Commander who don't have any idea what the hell Vintage is. Now they can just look at the Commander ban list and know what's there. So not a huge deal in Commander, but they have officially decoupled that. An additional thing that is going to be relevant to this conversation is in the ban article, Wizards of the Coast told us that they are monitoring Standard, Modern, and Pioneer. They said that they have not made any bans in those formats because the metagames are changing too rapidly and it necessitates further observation before they would consider any bans in those formats. But one additional thing they said is that if Companion is making decks too consistent and is causing a problem, they are willing to make changes up to and including how Companion works as a mechanic. So Wizards has said they are willing to make power level errata to a mechanic if it is a problem. And that is a huge deal that I would argue is potentially on par with a card being banned in Vintage.
Right. Well, that's what I was, when we were talking about it, that was exactly like you errata the mechanic itself, don't change what's printed on the card. You basically change the rules around the card. They've done that before, though. They did that with Proliferate, like last year. Like it's a thing they've done in the past.
However, I would argue they have not done it on, this would be a power level errata. And while the Proliferate one did affect the power level of the mechanic, that was a digital / ease of function change. And I would argue that this is fairly different.
Okay.
I feel like this would be the first errata that changes like the as intended effect of the card, like the soul.
Absolutely
of the card.
not.
In a long time, though. It is the first of that kind of errata in a long time.
10 years.
Yeah. Like at least a decade, which I think's a big goddamn deal.
It's not even a card, though. It's like a whole,
No, that's the thing. And I don't think they've ever power level errated a mechanic. They have power level errated cards in the past, and they have changed how mechanics work with rules updates. But I don't think they've ever said, this mechanic's too good. That'd be like saying Storm's too good, so let's change how Storm works to make it not as good.
I think that is what like saying Planeswalkers are too good, so let's change Planeswalkers.
They had. When Planeswalkers first came out, loyalty abilities, the limit was tied to the card type, not to the loyalty ability, and then they changed it behind the scenes.
But again, I feel like that's a corner case thing. Like, I feel like we are yes, there have been other power game. The game's been out for over 25 years.
It's a difference in magnitude. I don't believe it's a difference in kind.
But they didn't make that Planeswalker change because it ruined every format. They did that to make the game flow better. They are literally talking about changing mechanic to make the game not broken at a power level area. And while they've done that for cards, they've never done it for a mechanic, which is fucking nuts. And like, they didn't say they're going to do it, but they're saying they're talking about it. Which, that's the thing. I feel like this is unprecedented. There are similar things or things that have similarities to it in the past of Magic, but they've never said Affinity's too good, so instead of banning 6 cards in Standard, we're going to change how Affinity works. Now Affinity, it takes 2 artifacts to get you 1 Affinity or some shit like that. Like, this is crazy. That is the most nuts things in that ban article.
It's because they had to take like this. I really think the Vintage ban was like a a thing that was hard for them. Because, like, if you'll allow me to read directly from it, we recognize that this is a rare occurrence to ban a card for balance reasons in Vintage rather than restricting it. But this is a unique case where restricting Luris wouldn't affect its usage as a companion, which is the primary motivation for making this change. I think you kind of said it there, Brett. Like, it was a situation where it's... No, actually, Dave, you said it. It was a situation where it's like, well, what choice did they have?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what we were getting at on that one, too. It just... Yeah, you can restrict it all you want. You're still only playing one copy of it. You don't want to play multiple copies of it.
And it feels weird. And honestly, and maybe I don't know, maybe I'm sensationalizing. I am on a podcast. What are you going to do? But like, if they could have restricted Luris in Vintage and had it be effective, they would have. But they couldn't, so they did the necessary thing within the realm of tools they had. You don't generally ban in Vintage, but you ban in other formats, so you could ban in Vintage. But we might change a mechanic. Holy shit.
Alternatively, like, what if we just said, hey, Luris is restricted and you can't play it as your companion in Vintage? What does that change?
You could do that, and that would be a similar thing. My thought on that is maybe you don't want it. Then you have to add a whole extra sentence to the ban list.
My issue with that is fundamentally, like, errating cards is one thing. Errating cards through format rules is another.
I feel like
this card plays differently once it's in the game in this format is a different thing.
I think what you pitched, Dave, would absolutely function. I think it's a little ugly because there is a Vintage ban list. I think it's a little clunkier, so I think they went I don't know. I'm just really like, I wonder if they change how Companion works, if they would unban Luris, or like I'm curious how radically they're willing to change Companion, I suppose. And we talked about this a little bit a couple episodes back, but I think it's worth talking about again and kind of going more in depth on. Now, the part of the problem is Companion is the 8th card, so maybe the mechanic's less broken in Pioneer and Modern. If you say, put your Companion into your hand, or once you've kept your hand, put a card from your hand on the bottom of your library, so you only have 7. That doesn't fit. Luris is still broken as hell in Vintage with that. So like Luris banned in Vintage, I think, is just like if Companion still always starts in your hand or available to you, Luris is broken in Vintage. Period. So I get the, oh shit, maybe we need to totally change how Companion works, but ban Luris in Vintage so people stop yelling about it. But I don't know. I feel like this is a level of screw up we haven't seen ever.
I mean, they do keep outdoing themselves every set.
And like, I'm not doom and gloom. I don't think the end is nigh, but the fact that we're talking about power level errata on this scale, sweeping, potentially affecting every format the cards work in, seems like
they didn't ban it in Standard. Or, you know, like, I mean, like, I guess, like, the power level errata conversation, I don't know. It feels like a little bit to me, it's like, maybe it's just that, like, the power level is bad for older sets and formats, but not really for where we're going with Magic.
Well, here's my thought about, so I don't think Luris is broken in Standard. I don't think the card Luris is too good. I think the problem with Companion is you need to look at the decks using it. Reddit, there's a user on Reddit who keeps doing weekly Pioneer updates with the wins available win data from Magic Online. So this is not exclusively all of the answers, but over 65 to 70% of every deck in Pioneer has a Companion. And I think Standard is probably close to that or greater. To have a functional deck in Standard, you run a Companion, or you run the Winota deck, or like the Temur Wilderness Reclamation deck. But like, if no individual Companion is banned in Standard, but you have to run a Companion to be competitive in Standard, or Modern, or Pioneer, should we change how the mechanic is it just too good? Is that what Magic ought to be?
And that is a conversation. That's kind of why like companion in the first place is really divisive. Like, if the conditions to have a companion that are printed on the companion cards aren't bad enough to preclude you from putting it in there because the benefit of having that 8th card in your starting hand is just too good, it's like it almost puts you in a situation where it's like, well, going forward, we're just always going to have a companion because, like, why not?
And Dave kind of... Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, Dave, you were...
Oh, no, he was going to bring up the soft pitch that I keep having every week that we just kind of go, well, that's going to take up a lot of time, and we have a lot of stuff going on. But the idea of what if companion ended up being evergreen, and they just had new companions added to each set in addition to what they were doing?
I almost think that's easier.
Well, so here's my problem with that, right? And it's the same problem that I was about to bring up a minute ago. So at one point, standard will be free of this.
Yeah.
But these, even if they get it right, and let's say they perfectly nail the restriction, evening out the extra card in your opening hand with every other companion they make for the rest of the time. These older ones are always going to be there forever in the non-rotating formats.
And I feel like Wizards probably pushed boundaries because Commander's popular, and this is like a standard Commander. They straight up said that. It's like bringing Commander-like ideas to standard. But and JC, you even said something about, is this what Magic looks like going forward? And if there's 30, 40, 50 workable companions, and you can play most styles of decks, that's even with standard. You can play aggro decks, you can play combo decks, you can play control decks with companions. So it's not like they're shutting out archetypes. They're just shutting out people who aren't running companions. And it's weird because, like, we were talking pre-show about I'm trying out mono red Obosh, which is a mono red deck that has Obosh as the companion. And the deck runs a lot of cards you would never run otherwise. It runs Heraldic Banner. You aren't able to run Embercleave in your mono red deck, which seems crazy because Embercleave is nuts. Embercleave is stone cold nuts. And so it makes you run weird cards and jump through hoops, which is an interesting deck building challenge. But yeah, if we have this idea of let's put in 5 companions in every set for a while, even then, and maybe we stop at some point because we will run out of design space, and then standard's free of them, and the old formats have 30, 40, 50 playable ones. Is that good? Is that what people want? Is that what Magic
should be? I wonder. Because, like, your argument, Lily, is that these old ones are still going to be there, and these old ones are still going to be a problem. But what if the new ones that we print are just as strong, just as functional, just as useful, and allow you to create a lot of different decks around them because there's more choice in the amount of companions that you have, and that it just becomes an evergreen kind of thing going forward, that this is the way Magic is, that you have this companion on board with.
Okay. I have a couple problems with that, but we'll get to that. So, one, game balance. So when you're balancing a game, you can't, the way you fix something that's out of line is not by bringing everything else up to the out of line. It's by bringing the thing that is out of line down to where everything else is, because bringing everything else up to that point, anytime you're increasing the power in things, you risk fucking up and skewing it even higher. And if you're continually trying to, it's like trying to fix eyeliner. So, second point, if they keep doing the companion things forever and they're evergreen, we run into a situation where you have one format, standard, that uses these things that are a subset of, but not the same list as this very similar thing in Brawl and Commander. And I think that is confusing and obtuse.
Because they function, they're like commanders, but they don't function like commanders, and they keep returning and keep playing them.
If what they want to do is have commanders in standard, then they should just have commanders in standard.
As Brawl / Commander being my 2 favorite formats, that sounds awful.
Yeah, kinda.
That sounds awful. I mean, so okay, here's is anyone on the train of let's just keep... I mean, obviously it's an interesting idea. Does anyone think they should? Dave, go.
Like, okay, the thing is, it changes the game. Like, to something almost unrecognizable from what Magic was beforehand. It's probably like way more. I think it's far more drastic than it was when they introduced Planeswalkers. That's kind of that's the analog that I guess we have. You can look at it when they first printed the 5 Planeswalkers in Lorwyn, and everyone realized pretty quick, oh, these are all really good. And then they were popular enough that, okay, well, we're going to print a couple more each set. And we started getting bad Planeswalkers as well. Like,
wait, for Chandra, wasn't?
Chandra killed Baneslayer. But that's a whole different thing.
At least 3 of the initial 5 were playable.
And I'm going to tell you that I absolutely played Chandra in some decks at PTQs, and Chandra absolutely killed some Baneslayer Angels. Anyway, but we had like just stone unplayable Planeswalkers like the original Nissa, which, I mean, it wasn't good in anything really.
I played her a bit in Standard,
and
she eventually got
wasn't
cut.
Good. As much as we want her to be good, she's not.
She wasn't great.
Like, her ultimate wasn't exactly win on the spot. It's, put all these elves into play and hope
get all 5 of your Arbor Elves.
Yeah.
The ultimate wasn't the problem. It was the fact that you had to run 4 other mediocre cards to run her.
So yeah, there were plenty of things that made her stone bad, but the idea behind, going that back over to Companion, if they were to continue doing this, I think they would make a couple that were very, very strong, and then probably make a few bad ones, and the one that is a leaps and bounds clear mistake for a while. And over time, as they're like printing maybe 5 per set, 3 to 5, somewhere in there, I think some of these older ones would start kind of fading more into obscurity. Like, yeah, lore shouldn't exist in Vintage for obvious reasons, but it's not really as good compared to these newer ones that are just much, much better, that do stronger things. Kind of like how Jace was the gold standard.
Jace.
And now, the discussion is, do you even bother playing Jace in Modern? Like, isn't Teferi just so much better?
And do you play Jace in Legacy, or do you play Oko? I mean...
that. I think you play both, but that's beside the point. I'm greedy. I'm greedy as fuck. But I think probably dialing back the power level for it, making it so people have to jump through, higher hoops, smaller hoops, more difficult hoops, hoops that are on fire, something like that.
Spinning, rotating.
Yeah, rotating hoops, exactly. It was like in Superman 64, whatever video game you can think of that has hoops.
Banjo-Tooie.
Yeah, Banjo-Tooie.
Sonic.
Sonic the Hedgehog. Yeah.
Superman, though, was primarily hoops.
Yeah, no, it's that, and just it was garbage. It was hot garbage. Anyway, but make them more restrictive and keep the power level for their effect about the same. Because I think that as far as like you look at Lurrus, and the restriction for Lurrus isn't really it isn't that big of a restriction for what it does. Like you get to rebuy your permanents, and you can play mana cost of whatever spells you want to, but for permanents, this is the restriction, and you get to rebuy all of them if you want to. It's not that big of a deal. I guess your spells are going to have to carry you, and obviously that was way too strong for Vintage and for Legacy. You have like the Kraken. You only get to play even costed spells. All right, well, is that really that big of a restriction? Is that really that much of a problem? You don't do anything on turn 1? I don't think that's a huge deal at all, quite frankly. I mean, sure, it's cutting you off from a lot of very powerful things you could be doing in Legacy, like you can't play Brainstorm. Oh, shucks, that sucks. But, it doesn't really matter that much, I don't think.
When you can turn 1 or 2 your Karuga, yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
So...
I feel like, sorry, I'm getting a little away from what you're saying there, but like...
Yeah, I have that effect on people, no worries.
No, it's just, they had to know that this affects, that introducing companions in the first place mirrored an effect like having your commanders in Brawl and Commander. Like they had to know that that's what that was going to do. So that had to be like their kind of intent. Now, like we can argue whether that's good or not, but like I think it can be argued that there's some people that like it. So like what do you do about that?
No, I don't think their intention was to have every format be at 60 to 70% companion decks. I think their hope was to have 15 to 20% companion decks, maybe. Like, I think they were expecting the difficulties to be greater, or that the cost of the sideboard slot and the hoops were enough to offset it, so that some of them would be functional in various formats. That's my assumption. I don't think Wizards wanted to create... Well, I guess there's a way to... If we don't see any companions in the next year or two, before Wizards saw the result of what happened, then I think Wizards intended for them to be in some decks. I'm going to say, let's say 20% in some
Okay, but when is the last time that a new mechanic on so few cards had a 20%, had a 15% representation in non-rotating formats?
That's
Phyrexian Mana.
Phyrexian Mana.
Yeah, that's a real bad thing to compare it against.
As I'm saying, I'm like, that wasn't that. Oh shit, that was like 10 years ago.
I would argue that Modern Horizons Snow did that a little bit.
And there's a lot new mechanic, though, is the thing. It was just kind of free. You just did it.
It was pushed.
But like Astrolabe, I feel like Astrolabe, Snow Snake, Snowlands are now represented in the formats they're available in very highly.
Right.
But there's a lot of people calling for bans of Astrolabe in basically every format.
I mean, Planeswalkers are in pretty much every format now, too.
That's true. It did take a while for that, though.
Yeah,
and that was a new card type. That was the let's make this thing. We'll make 5 of them. And they didn't, for a while, there was Lorwyn, and then we didn't have a Planeswalker in the next sets. And then we had like 1 or 2. We had like 1 per set in Alara.
You had Elspeth.
Okay, so in Lorwyn, you had the 5, and then Morningtide, you had none, and then Shadowmoor Eventide, you had none, and then Alara, you had Tezzeret, Elspeth, and Sarkhan.
And Bolas.
No, Bolas was in that one.
Bolas was in Conflux.
What was Bolas in?
Bolas was in Conflux, I'm pretty sure.
Oh,
in the first set, you had Sarkhan, you had Elspeth, and you had Tezzeret.
Okay.
And then I think we had one in Shards of Alara as well, but I couldn't tell you what it was. We didn't?
Johnny.
I don't think we had a Johnny.
No, Johnny was the first set, I'm pretty sure. He was the pre-release for... Conflux was a Johnny and Bolas, but I don't think we had one in Alara Reborn.
And like, so Planeswalkers, they kind of ramped up to, and it was a while before they were consistent. They're not in every deck. Now you can run them in most formats and most colors, which I think is good because it's a card type. There's only 10 companions, and they are over 50% of decks now. And it's weird because, like, there's only 1 in each deck in a lot of these decks, but that's all you need is 1. And
in a lot of cases, all you can have is 1.
So here's a question I want to ask everybody. So I think there's 2 paths Wizards could take, and I want to know what you guys would rather they do. One option is they just ban companions where they need to get banned. If 60% metagame representation is too much, which I would argue it probably is, you just ban until you don't need to ban. So if that means you ban 3 in Pioneer, 4 in Modern, 4 in Legacy, and the rest don't make up the metagame past 3%, fine. You just ban until the numbers are low enough. Or you tweak the mechanic until the numbers are low enough. So let's say the goal target here, and if you guys think this is too many things, let me know. Let's say the target is 15% or less representation in every non-standard format. Standard is standard. It's a smaller card pool. We're going to see more of them. It's a showcase mechanic, whatever. Pioneer and down, let's say 20% representation is the goal. Would you rather they change the mechanic to get there or just ban the shit out of cards? Or maybe some combination of you change the mechanic, get it to 50, ban two companions in each set, and we just go on with our lives. What would you guys rather see? Anyone want to go first?
So I'd rather see them ban rather than change the actual rules to how it works. And the reason is this. I feel like it is easier and there's more of a precedent to unban cards when the balance changes in things and they become really no longer a problem. And it's really kind of harder to make a rule change and then go back on that rule change or change it again. Like, and to be fair, they've done that too. But like, I think it is more common to ban than unban when the environment changes later, especially if, because I get the feeling that Magic has been pushing things. And if they want to keep pushing, that is inevitably going to keep changing kind of how Magic looks. I mean, like, this was really a step in a direction of, like Dave said, like, it makes Magic look different than Magic has ever looked. So, like, you know, if they keep doing things like that, if they keep being visionary and future thinking, then I think banning where you need to ban, and with the prospect of unbanning when, you know, when the environment changes inevitably in the future of us, like, making new things and pushing in new directions, I think that's kind of easier to do. So that's my spiel on that.
Okay. Lily, what would you rather see?
So while it is worth mentioning that changing a rule behind the scenes to affect certain elements of it for gameplay reasons is not totally without precedent, I do think it should be done with severe discretion. And in this case, I think a ban would be more appropriate.
Okay. So you'd rather see 2 to 3 cards each format in each format get banned than we change companion.
Yeah, or even like, all 10, just nope, let's just ban them everywhere. It's like Anti. Didn't work out, wasn't a good idea. We didn't like the gameplay. We didn't like what did it to the game.
Okay, Dave, where do you come down?
I'd say keep on the path and just start banning shit when it becomes a problem. Like, I think that's kind of where I'll come down on that.
Okay.
Like, I mean, I don't see any reason why some of the more turdy companions, because like you said, there are a ton of them, but like some of them aren't good. Like the one that taps for a Wooburg and you can't use it as generic mana, that one's just not good. I don't see that one being a problem. Now, I'm saying that, and then Fist of Suns is going to win the first Modern Grand Prix after the quarantine's over, but that's just the way that I'm seeing it.
Okay.
But
Fair
yeah,
enough.
just start banning shit when it becomes a problem.
And honestly, I mean, an exciting take for me. I'm going to agree with all y'all. I think there's places where it is really fun. Standard, it might be okay. Still, the representation might be too much, but like, I think it's awesome and limited. I'm very excited to build some commander decks. I'm very excited because those restrictions in Singleton, the restrictions are super fucking real. Even just looking at Brawl decks, it's like, oh, I could stick this into this deck, but then I'd have to cut these 4 cards I'd really want. So like, it's already tricky in Brawl. It's going to be supremely tricky in Commander to have a nice functional thematic deck with it. And I invite the challenge. And
may I ask something real quick on that?
Yeah.
Is it a problem that we see companion in general overrepresented, or is it a problem that we see a specific companion like Luris overrepresented?
I would argue it is a specific card is overrepresented as a problem. If a deck is too much of a format, that's bad. Or a deck that is like a Mind Sculptor deck or a Luris deck. A deck that is, there's like 3 different versions of the Mind Sculptor deck, or there's like 3 different Luris decks, but they're all Luris decks. So like, I see that as a problem, but that's like a normal kind of ban-worthy problem. If a deck gets too represented, it's a problem. If 70% of decks in every format are using a mechanic that from a new set that's only on 10 cards, I think that is a new kind of problem.
What if it's more than 10 cards, though? Like, what if they print more?
Well,
I have some. So with this, right? What if they print more? Okay. So I think you've got to make a decision then. Do you want your game to look like this from now on, or do you not? And if they don't want the game to look like this, if they don't want it to always be the best decision to run a companion, then they have to balance it to a place where it is not so much of the metagame that it is unavoidable.
Mm-hmm.
Now I have one more question with that. Can Wizards do something like sort of like a cryptocurrency fork, a split or something like that, where from this period on, we have companions. From this period back, we do not.
So you're saying ban them in like the old formats, but just say Standard's going to have companions, or Pioneer has them, but Modern
or even just like, I mean, it would be kind of like making a new format. Really, is what it would be equivalent to, where companions are okay.
I see. My issue with that is we already have that in Brawl and Commander. We have Commander, and we have the Standard version of Commander that's easier to get into and cheaper. And so we have those 2 forms. If you want to bring your buddy along, you have that. But then to have Commander, Brawl, companion formats and non-companion formats. Just play, if you really want that, make Brawl more competitive 1v1, or just make the Year of Commander, which they did. Just accept that if people want to do this, they have that. And like Companion's cool in Commander, but like I feel like instead of printing, even more like the Companions are cool in Commander, but if you're making Commander specific companions, like I said in a previous episode, I'd rather you just do more unique command zone based things that aren't going to fuck up Vintage and Legacy, and say you get to put this equipment in your command zone if your deck is all knights, and then you get to play Excalibur. And that's just a rule on the card. It has command zone blank, and you just, as long as you tie those rules to Commander, then they won't fuck up any other formats. Just like Command Tower doesn't fuck up Legacy. So that's kind of where I'm at.
So JC, I think my actual problem. Look, so like if Brawl didn't exist, I think doing companions every set from now on would be fine. But if they want Brawl to exist, I think it is very confusing to players to have these two thematically similar things using the same card pool that work slightly differently.
That's fair. I think that's a fair critique of that. If they want to have companions being a thing going forward, why do they look so much like commanders? So.
Yeah, no, I think I would kind of rather say this was a little bit of a failed experiment. Let's ban the gratuitous ones, and if we, that's the, I think banning, I can kind of see what you're saying with ban all 10, Lily, but at the same time, I don't think Umori or Gigantha are going to ruin Modern. And if somebody wants to,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
So if somebody wants to try that in Modern or Pioneer and wants to do the Amori plan, like as long as it's not 50% plus of the metagame or 20% or whatever percent we deem acceptable for a mechanic themed deck, I'd rather we just kind of ban where we need to and just say, man, Phyrexian Mana, Affinity, and Companions were fuck ups. We banned what we could, and we won't do that kind of thing again. And for that, if you want that style of gameplay, we have two formats for you that we really, really want you to play. Yeah. So our timer stopped. So for a long time, I'm like, we need to drag this conversation out. No, I think we're in a good spot. Anyone have final thoughts on? We were talking about the bans. I don't think anyone else cares to hear me talk about Brawl bans. And if you want to hear me ramble about that, like I did it yesterday and brawled with Brett. So any final thoughts on the bans in general or in Companions before we move on to the topic 2?
A couple final thoughts. One, actually, Kat wrote a really good article on Drannith Magistrate that got banned in Brawl. So I recommend you go check that out on the Patreon. Just giving some love in that direction. It was actually a really thoughtful article. I liked it.
It's a great article. And you don't have to pay to see those. They're on the Patreon, but they're not gated. So even if you're not a Patreon member, you can go to our Patreon and check those articles out.
And the other thing is, golly, I just don't want to see Companion go the direction of anti or dexterity cards, but it's a tough thing. We've hashed out why this is tough.
All right. Lily, Dave, any final thoughts before we move on?
Kinnan should be in jail.
In Brawl?
Yeah, banned in Brawl. Kinnan should be banned in Brawl.
I completely agree. Ash should Niv Mizzet. But all right, again, Brawl. Check out that article. Check out the VOD for the my last Twitch stream if you really want to hear me talk about Commander bans. We are going to roll on to our ad break, and then we will be back with our final topic. So stick around.
This week's sponsor is Nuclear Ink Custom Tattoo and Skate Shop. At Nuclear Ink, you will find a very inclusive environment with artists that share your interest in nerd culture and fandoms alike. Nuclear Ink prides themselves in being Omaha's premier all-custom tattoo shop. So if you're looking to get a custom tattoo, please check out Nuclear Ink here in Omaha, Nebraska. A link will be in the description down below. We're also sponsored by InkedGaming.com. Are you looking to get a custom playmat? Well, then we suggest you check out InkedGaming.com. They have custom playmats, dice bags, mouse pads, and so much more. They even recently added a stitch option to their playmat and mouse pads as well. Stop those frayed edges from happening. Inked Gaming lets you play your game with your style. And if you want to get 10% off of your entire order, use the code TCG University, all caps, no spaces at checkout, and help support us by customizing your game to your style. Cards Custom Builds. Are you into cosplay? Looking to get into cosplay? Do you want to show up to events dressed as your favorite character? Well, then Cards Custom Build can help. Cards Custom Build creates everything from cosplay accessories like props, trinkets, or weaponry, all the way up to full-blown costumes. Do you want to make a perfectly flowing cloth, or maybe want rigid battle armor? Cards Custom Build has you covered. Their work is guaranteed to make you the talk of the con. So go over to Cards Custom Build on either Facebook or on their Etsy account. Links will be in the description down below. And make sure you mention TCG University to get 5% off your entire order. And lastly, the show is brought to you by Dex Protection. Dex Protection is on a never-ending pursuit to create the highest quality storage and protection accessories. Their design and innovation comes from die-hard gamers and collectors just like you. They're constantly taking in feedback from their customers, and they have no plans to stop their innovations or their drive to refine the products until they're recognized as a leader in their industry. They make terrific products, all with the avid gamer and collector in mind. So go ahead and check them out. The link will be in the description down below.
Welcome back, everyone. Just so you can be adequately prepared, we can't play licensed music, but you can. So everyone should go to YouTube or your app of choice and start playing Double Vision by Foreigner. That's what Dave threw in the chat to pitch this topic, and it is the correct musical choice.
It was between that or 303, and I figured that it was probably better to go with Foreigner instead of 303. So, I mean, it's the reality we live in.
So, the link will be in the description down below.
So, Double Masters got announced today, Thursday, the 21st. There is a new Master set, and it's coming out this August, which seems crazy because there's like next month we started getting previews for Core Set 2020 in June, and then it comes out on the 3rd of July. And then in August we have a course. We have a Masters set. So, little context. So, Double Masters. Master sets are reprint-only sets that are only legal in the Eternal format, so Legacy, Vintage, Commander. They aren't going to be Modern, Pioneer, or Standard legal unless the card is already legal in those formats. They used to do these yearly for a while. The first one was Modern Masters, and then we had a Master set every year. In December 2018, they printed Eternal Masters, and at that time they said, we are going to be phasing out Master sets for the time being. They didn't say they would never do them again, but they stopped being a yearly thing. And a year and a half later, we have a Master set, and the theme is double. So the gimmick here is every pack will have 2 rares or mythics and 2 foils, both of which can be rare or mythics. So you can get that 4 rare/4 mythic pack. And we don't know the details of the drafting in this. Master sets are...
That was today. We should know. I'm going to find it.
Okay, we might know. So as... Oh, go ahead, Dave.
Oh, I was going to say, in true fashion, keeping with the theme, WotC posted 2 announcements announcing the set, where they announced Double Masters and also announcing Double Masters as a cute way to reveal some of the cards that are in this. And obviously, what's the first card you'd want in Double Masters, Brett?
Doubling Season! Pow, pow.
Doubling Cube?
Boo!
You're
Doubling
close.
Season. So,
But yes, it is Doubling Season.
And what's the most exciting thing about the new Doubling Season, Dave?
The box topper, the cool alternate artwork is done by local favorite Ron Spencer.
Boom! Ron is back!
Fucking
but there are no rodents.
There aren't, but I mean, there are dinosaurs.
Ooh, I like anime Blightsteel Colossus.
We have...
Yeah, the Blightsteel Colossus looks dope too. I was expecting... Like, I mean, if he's going to do something, I'd hope that the word Phyrexian was on it, but... Or Blightsteel, I guess, but...
Ron is back, and that means...
Oh, that's Wayne Reynolds on Blightsteel.
Yeah, we're getting... So, the set is going to have 40 box toppers, and every box will have 2 box toppers. We don't know the price of the set yet. Magic Online price is going to be $6.99 a pack, but that's what all of the Master sets have been on Magic Online. So these packs could be 7 in paper, or they could be up to 12. So we don't know MSRP. Well, MSRP doesn't.
Well, that is going to be MSRP though. It's at the discretion of the stores as to what they want to charge for it.
Well, I'm not sure if that's right because that is what the first Modern Masters was, and that's what Modern Ultimate Masters was, and those were sold to stores for different prices, I think. So,
yeah, I mean, what they're going to be selling to stores at, and there's a good reason that those are going to be different too. The main thing is they had upped what the cost was to buy from WotC. There's some other stuff in there too, like they can't buy direct from WotC anymore. They have to go through distributors, and other things. But they had raised the cost for stores to pick up the product in the first place.
So yeah, so I can't tell you. This is not gonna. Actually, I don't know if it's going to be in big box stores. It's possible there might be some draft packs. I think they did some Masters editions in like Walmart, Target kind of stores. We don't have all the details yet. We have 4 cards we know of right now, and at this point they're only showing off the box toppers. So we're getting alternate arts. The alternate arts are not all of one specific theme. So as Dave said, Doubling Season is a kind of a cute reptile. Sort of, it's not really comic book art, but it's Ron Spencer, and then we have Blightsteel Colossus by Wayne Reynolds. We have Mana Vault. I don't know the artist on that one. We have Kali of the Vast. We actually have 5 cards, and we have Atraxa. So everything previewed so far, all these box toppers, these are some real money cards here. These are some really sought after, popular cards. So we have some Commander cards. Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, the artwork for the one-hit robot's just insane. It's so good. I'm so thrilled that they're really pushing boundaries, doing different art. All right, you got the Atraxa here.
That's so cool.
Don't worry, that card is going to be $100 probably.
It has a lot of words on it.
Well, yeah, it's super popular, regular. Like so, hopefully this will lower Atraxa regular price, but these box toppers are going to be expensive. So now Wizards is really trying to push you to buy one of these boxes because that's how you get these box toppers.
And something to add, yet another layer to it is instead of printing only in English, which is what they've done previously for master sets, they are going to be printing in English, French, German, simplified Chinese, and Japanese,
which is super cool. Yeah, I'm glad that Wizards can do that.
I really want a German box. I would love a German Blightsteel Colossus. That sounds awesome. I kind of hope that Ubermer is in this set just for that reason too. Superion, but unlikely. I would love to have the Ubermer.
Oh, you better be careful.
That'd be so fucking cool. That was the hype when New Phyrexia came out too. It was like, wait, the translation's Ubermer, Superion. Okay, that tracks.
It's not as good as Lord of Extinction.
Spanish. What is Lord of Extinction in Spanish?
Señor de la Extinción. Yeah. That's a good
awesome
one. That's not an easy card to track down. Really quick, let's play a fun game. What is the shit mythic that is also going to be a box topper going to be in this one? A la Tree of Redemption. What is it going to be? What is the terrible mythic that you're going to open as your box topper?
I want Hellcarver Demon. If we're going for called shots on bad mythics, I want an alternate art Hellcarver Demon. That sounds dope.
Okay, all right, that's yours, Lily. What is your terrible mythic?
Come back to me.
Okay, come back to you. I'm going to say mine is. Oh God. I pitched this and I didn't have a good one. My terrible mythic is going to be. I keep giving myself a lead up and I keep thinking about talking about the lead up and not talking about my card. And now I'm explaining this and thinking about it.
Is it Tangle Angler?
It is not Tangle. God damn it. My terrible mythic is going to be the Brizella. Not Brizella, the blue white angel.
Bruna.
It's gonna be Bruna. That's gonna be my sad. Well, that card's actually worth something, isn't it?
It was the worst one of the 3. That's
it's Commander sure. Now. They're all worth $1 million. No, maybe she's been reprinted.
It was all about Buttercup, 100%. I can't remember their name, but I remember that they were named after
Sigarda, Bruna, and Gisela.
Okay, Bruna's 87 cents. No, it's not gonna be. Yeah, it's gonna be Bruna. Bruna's gonna be mine. But okay, actually, here's something that's not just garbage. Nothing. The fact that these have alternate cool arts, even if they're kind of not expensive, still makes them way more collectible. Like, yeah, an extended border on some of the old ones was cool, but extended border Lava Claw Reaches was still a Lava Claw Reaches. Yeah. Now, Lava Claw Reaches is still a terrible box topper, but super crazy unique art really makes these box toppers pop.
Friend, I feel like you're using Lava Claw Reaches wrong. Just saying.
What do you mean?
Card's insane.
But it's
maybe not modern, but
when the option was
tar pit.
When the option was
no creeping tar pit. That is correct.
When the Lava Claw Reaches is terribly disappointing when you could be a Karn you're going to open and instead you get a Lava Claw Reaches. As someone who got a Karn, because I got it one of those box toppers for Ultimate Masters because I bought the first Mythic Edition and got my Mythic Edition, but I still got a "We're sorry we screwed up" prize, and it was a Karn, so that didn't suck. But I burned all of my good luck on Karn and will get a terrible box topper.
You did not.
I burned some of it. Do you have your terrible Mythic?
I do.
What is it?
You know.
What? I don't.
Workhorse.
Workhorse is not a Mythic! That card is trash, and you're trash for liking it. I hate that card. Sorry, I have a lot of rage against Workhorse. JC, what's your terrible Mythic? Do you have it one? What's your going to be your bad box topper?
I don't know if it's terrible, but I really just want to see an alternate art of it, and I know a lot of decks don't super play it. Emrakul Aeon Storm?
That would be sweet.
That would not be a shitty Mythic, though.
Yeah, it's
It
just
would
more
not.
legacy play.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's not shitty, it's Seas play, but like I just really want alternate art of it.
I would like alternate art of the Innistrad one, mostly because I love that card in Commander and would love a cool art of it for Commander. Because there's a fun sub-game I like to play in Commander called Let's See If I Can Permanently Exile Whoever's Turn I took over as Commander this turn.
Oh, I love it. How many times has it happened to me? Twice?
Yes, my goal is to take your turn over with a Mindslaver style effect and then make it so you don't get your Commander anymore.
No, you didn't exile Scarab Lord. You got Scarab God, Scorpion God. You got him in the pack into the Command Zone? I don't. Did you?
No, I got it exiled. Because Command Zone, you can cast it, but if I get Scorpion God stuck in exile, I'm pretty sure I got it in exile.
Yeah, you did that to Parador once. He did that to Scorpion God once.
So much fun. Anyway, super off
He really
topic.
likes doing it to me. I don't know why.
The point of Commander is to get a player Commander, so my goal is to make it so you can't. Because I'm a Magic player, and if you tell me I shouldn't do something, I'm going to do everything in my power within the rules to do that thing. Anyway, back on topic, sort of.
Just play Dranith Magistrate.
I was. And
Checkmate, Brett.
I think again, not talking about Brawl, I will do it for too much.
Dranith is fine.
Dranith is probably fine, but it's not super fun. Anyway, we don't know. Do we know? Do we think these box toppers are probably just going to be box toppers? What are our thoughts on having them be like in standard packs? You can get the alternate art stuff from the specialty boosters. What are your thoughts? Like, I think it'd be cool if you could open them very rarely in a box, kind of like a step down from.
That kind of feels like a hat on a hat. Like, people are already going to want this stuff. Like, I don't think they necessarily need more incentive to want to crack a shitload of boxes of this. Like, something that I was thinking about as well, as far as this is concerned, with the abrupt nature with which they told us about this master set. It kind of feels like WotC might be a bit concerned with numbers for this quarter / fiscal year. What's everybody feel about that?
That's true. Now, something to keep in mind, it does take Mauro said about 1.5 to 2 years to get a reprint set going. But, as we talked about in the pre-show, I think, it's possible they had this in their back pocket and were waiting.
The line I think I used was break in case of pandemic glass.
Mm-hmm.
They just kind of had something on the back burner in case shit goes down.
Wait.
Here's a set ready to go.
I do feel like maybe there was a design space and people in the design space that were like, hey, here's a bunch of ideas for really cool shit that we should release slowly because like they're like really special.
And go ahead.
And maybe they grabbed one of those.
Can we talk about how it tracks and their Blade Stealer and their break in case of pandemic set?
That feels like a flavor win. Congratulations, WotC.
See, but you would have had to put this to print before the pandemic got bad.
I think we're going to get Skittles too.
Skithrix would be good. We've only ever gotten the one printing, right?
Yes, I think so. Skithrix is a pretty pricey card because I think he was only in New Phyrexia.
Yep.
Or Scars of Mirrodin.
Yeah, it was in Scars. I remember playing that in Originals. That was a hell of a top deck.
I think I'm generally willing to entertain some conspiracy theories with WotC. I think the time frame to making these cards be in paper, even maybe the pandemic was starting to be an inkling, but I don't think this got put into production with them knowing how crazy shit was and was going to be and how long it was going to go on. So like maybe, but it takes a long time to print these cards up, and they're going on sale in 3 months?
3 months. Yeah. So it would have been a hell of a rush job. Now, if between now and 3 months from now, like how much advance warning do we get for the first Masters set? We got several. We got a long time for that.
I don't even remember Modern Masters previews.
I remember that they were talking about Goif and that there was going to be a GP in Vegas, and my immediate response is fucking going to that.
Did you go to that GP?
Yeah, it was awesome. It was something else. They broke Weir.
That was the biggest Magic event ever, right? That still holds that record.
Up until that point, it was the biggest card game tournament period, which I think there was a YCS like 2 years later that beat it, and then we took it back. We volleyed back and forth. The reason why it was capped at 4,400 because Weir sucks. They had to run it as 4 concurrent. That's story time for a later time. But the point I'm getting at there is that for the Masters set, the amount of time that they gave for like hype and getting people excited for these sets, and when it was actually released, there was there was a decent amount of lag time. There was much longer than 3 months.
And also something to keep in mind. Mm-hmm. So that's a really good point. And in a few weeks, we're going to start getting core set previews and Jumpstart previews, and then core sets out, Jumpstart's out. Like, I feel like maybe this is oh shit, we already put this into production, we need to release it, but I wish I wonder if they could put this genie back. If they could put this genie back in the bottle, maybe they could. Maybe they need the money, but maybe they're feeling kind of awkward that it's coming out now. With Ikoria getting delayed was a big bad thing for them.
As far as like, I don't think anyone like even if this is their oh shit, there was a pandemic and we need a lot of cash flow really quick. I'm not even gonna hold that against them. I don't fucking care. Like that Blightsteel Colossus looks awesome. Like
win for me. Of course, it looks good.
Every card previewed so far. Now there's only 5 of 300 some, but these are all really needed Commander reprints too, which is awesome.
Well, it feels like they've printed Doubling Season to death at this point, but the fact
that
we get a Doubling Season with artwork done by Ron Spencer, fuck yeah, all right. I hope he does some. I hope he did a few other cards for the set too. I hope he did more than just box toppers, but we'll see.
Doubling Season is still $60, by the way.
Yeah, that is it's going to go down again, and then it's going to start going back up because of all that sweet casual appeal.
It's a green Commander card. It's going to go up.
Is Greater Good a decent amount, or
green is probably the most popular Commander card. So green. That's why we're getting Commander Staples Green as the special set this year, because it's the most.
There's a Doubling Season in that too.
Probably, and it's still probably going to be above 50 by the end of the year. It's a hell of a Magic card.
Like, I used to have a bunch of them. I moved off of them over time, but I had like 12 or 13 of them in high school when when it was quarter rares.
Yeah.
The good old days.
Anyway, but so this is I'm generally, here's the thing. I'm never that annoyed by master sets. Master sets are the ultimate. Like, there's PR. I mean, there's always going to be people on the internet whining. There's people whining like, there's so many things to buy. All master sets are the ultimate. You don't need to buy it if you don't want it. It's just reprints. If you are annoyed by this set, don't buy it. If you are excited for it, I'm excited for wacky Commander stuff. And here's a weird thing. So they're doing collector boosters for this, but they're called VIP boosters.
Oh my god!
They're going to be $1 million fucking dollars.
It's going to be at the discretion of stores. I'm fairly certain they're going to have their MSRP. But I think, honestly, like, at least locally, not to call anybody out, I think the only store I think that's going to end up selling this for MSRP is going to be Dragon's Lair, and I think they're going to have a stipulation saying you were only able to pick up X packs per day.
Oh, see, Dragon's Lair's always jacked stuff up in my experience. I was going to say...
I remember they did something along those lines for the first Masters set where they said, we're going to sell this for what WotC said is an MSRP, and you can buy 2 boosters from us, and that's it.
Well, anyway, regardless of Omaha stores, collector's boosters I've cooled on a bit just because, at least in standard sets, like, they are not worth their goddamn $25 price tag at all. Either they need to have more value or they need to be cheaper. I would be very excited for collector's boosters at $12 a booster, not $25.
But those pretty Eldraine cards, Brad.
Oh my god! I got two Ikoria collector's boosters, and those things were awesome. The Ikoria arts, the Godzilla stuff were super sweet. So like, maybe but the Theros ones were a super huge letdown. Maybe the Ikoria ones are going to be. Oh my God! Was that your box topper too, Dave?
No, I didn't buy a box. I bought a collector's booster, and I got King Caesar.
Oh, Dave, we bought 3. We got 3 boxes.
Mhm.
One of the boxes was a super sweet card. I'm totally blanking on. It was the rug one. It was the rug one.
All right.
The other 2 were King Caesars. The worst possible one. Although I did in my collector's booster get a Corona Godzilla, Death Corona.
Death Corona, Space Godzilla.
So the obstinate, don't tell me what to do, Watsy part of my brain is now comforted, and I don't need to spend $30 to buy one of those because you tell me you aren't printing more. I'll show you who's who. So I was really happy to do that. Again, off topic, but VIP boosters are weird. Lily, did you find how they're going to draft this set?
I could not. They apparently talked about it on their Twitch this afternoon at like 4:30. I had been intending to catch it, but I forgot.
The release article hinted that you get to make 2 picks when you open your first pack, which is weird.
I think as far as drafting goes, they might just have some special gimmicky way to do it. But
that's so gimmicky.
It's just going to be an 8-person table. Why would you do anything other than 8-person table? Unless maybe you want to do 2-headed giant.
Oh shit. 2-headed I love 2-headed giant.
Yeah,
I would
2-headed giant draft is fine.
Yeah. And if you're doing the whole theme is double the players.
Yeah.
And you can reprint some weird stuff from Battle Bond.
Yeah.
You could.
Get the other. Oh, it's not going to be new cards though.
But you could do partners. You could reprint the partners with.
Yeah,
well, right. But I was saying, I was going to say the enemy cycle of those lands, but no.
No, yeah, we won't get those yet. We'll probably get those in Commander Masters.
Yeah, I mean, if they want their gimmick for draft, there's their gimmick, 2-headed giant. But it's fine. I don't think that they necessarily need to really have a gimmick for this past. Like, if they want to call it Double Masters and then do, it's doubling season and they're going to be 2 of, and that's enough. I don't think they need to go any further than the gimmicks that we've already kind of seen on this.
And even if there is a gimmick and your table doesn't want to do it, just draft it like normal, I guess.
Yeah. Like, so long as it's not completely unplayable without the gimmick, which I don't think that there will. Like, Battle Bond had multiplayer in mind, but you didn't need to play multiplayer for it.
Oh yeah, I mean, I guess even if you have to pass one of your rares, the pack you're getting past has another rare or mythic, so it's not like you're getting cheated out of it. Or 2 or 4. So anyway, I'm excited. I guess one thing I was going to bring up, we just talked about the cool stuff of this. Does anyone have any problem? I mean, Wizards didn't say master sets are done. They said we're done for the foreseeable future. A year and a half, they're here. Which also raises the question: if it takes a year and a half to make a set, why did you say they were done for the foreseeable future if you were already in planning? Or maybe, Dave, you're right, and they did jam this one out there. How do you guys feel in general? I guess to wrap this up, are you guys annoyed at all that they're back so quickly, or is it just hey, it's more product for more product? What are your thoughts, team?
I like alternate art. I'm cool with it.
Okay.
Watsy's allowed to change their mind.
Fair enough. Dave, any concerns or thoughts or?
Like, not really. It's a master set. We haven't had a master set in a while. Ron Spencer's doing artwork.
Yeah, it's a master set. Buy it if you want to, and if you don't, do something else with your time and money.
Buy some packs. Why not?
Or buy a single. If there's like, I want my Mana Crypt, and they're making, just buy a Mana Crypt then. Save up your money and buy a Mana Crypt. Or if you want to crack packs or have fun, do this. It's not like there's anything else to do right now. So buy it or don't. Man, they should really hire us for Wizards marketing. I think we could just nail these commercials.
Buy some packs.
Magic is like one of the only games where like they sell Magic by just making more cards.
Yeah, and like that's the thing. You're not if you don't care and you have your decks how you want them, they aren't making anything new. You don't have to go out and buy any of these things to stay competitive. And if you want cool alternate art frames, they're out there. And so there you go. And I love the box topper model. I love that it is in the box. And so the players get it. Like, don't get me wrong. I like the store incentives. Like the buy box promos are nice for stores. And I like that instead of getting rid of one or the other, they're just doing both now, it seems like, which is nice. It helps the stores and it helps you. So like, the Joe Schmo who can save them and buy a box or split with a friend. Splitting one with a friend of these boxes is super easy because you get 2 box toppers. So I like that. So go Wizards. Keep making box toppers. It's great for the community and it gets extra value out of your box. It's cool. Any final thoughts before we wrap this one up, team? We didn't really end this with a very controversial thing.
We did.
Anyway.
I really, really like Kalia the Vast, and I'm glad to see a reprint of it, because golly, I like that card.
Yeah.
You want to make a punchy commander deck, make her...
Oh, yeah. I feel like you can make Kalia now and not get hated off the table. I feel like there's enough like really strong commanders. I think it's probably fine now.
It's like 10 years ago.
Yeah, that's fine. So
6.
There you go. That's remember what riled we were and how opinionated we were on the last topic, and then just like take that energy and imagine it here. So yeah, it's a new cool set with cool cards that we don't know a ton about, but I'm sure we'll talk about it a little bit once we get some more reprints. We'll have there's a lot of new cards and reprints. There's going to be a lot of new stuff to talk about coming up very shortly. Yeah, thanks for tuning in, everybody. Stick around for the post show if you'd like. If you're watching this live on YouTube, you just $1 on Patreon. You get to watch the pre and post shows. We will be back next week, and Dave and I will likely be streaming. I'll be streaming on Wednesday at least, and Dave may be streaming sometime this week, depending.
When I fix my sleep schedule, I'm drinking. I've had 2 of these since I sat down and opened up this call, so maybe more, and then I will fix my problems.
Okay, Dave is trying to solve his problems by drinking a lot of coffee.
Or my skeleton will just jump out through my skin and muscles and do a nice dance.
If that happens, can you do it on stream?
I'll try.
Okay, thank you.
That might not be okay with Twitch's TOS, but I don't know.
No, we could. I mean, anything to get viewers. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We will catch you next week, if not before that. We appreciate you. Stay safe out there, and make sure to remember who you are, everybody.